The Zodiac Killer is one of the most infamous unidentified serial killers in American history, terrorizing Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. This elusive figure taunted the police and the public with a series of cryptic letters and ciphers sent to local newspapers, claiming responsibility for numerous brutal murders and threatening further violence if his demands were not met. Despite decades of intense investigation, the identity of the Zodiac Killer remains a mystery, leaving a legacy of fear and unanswered questions that continues to captivate true crime enthusiasts and law enforcement officials alike. The reign of terror began on December 20, 1968, when David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen were tragically shot and killed on Lake Herman Road in Vallejo, California. The young couple was on their first date, parked in a secluded area known as a popular lover's lane, when they were ambushed. The sheer brutality of the attack shocked the quiet community, and the lack of immediate leads left the local police scrambling for answers. It was a cold-blooded execution that marked the beginning of a nightmare for the San Francisco Bay Area. Just over 6 months later, on July 4, 1969, the killer struck again, targeting another young couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau, at the Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. The attacker approached their parked car with a flashlight, blinding them before opening fire. Darlene tragically lost her life, but Michael miraculously survived the horrific ordeal, providing police with a crucial, albeit vague, description of the shooter. The brutality of the attack mirrored the Lake Herman Road murders, confirming the presence of a serial predator in the area. It was after the Blue Rock Springs attack that the killer began his infamous correspondence with the media. On August 1, 1969, 3 identical letters were sent to the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner. In these letters, the author claimed responsibility for the murders and included 3 parts of a complex cryptogram, demanding that they be published on the front pages of the newspapers or a weekend kill rampage would commence. The chilling nature of the letters and the threat of further violence sent shockwaves through the community. The cryptogram, known as the Z408 cipher, was eventually cracked by a local schoolteacher and his wife. The decrypted message revealed a deeply disturbed mind, stating that the killer liked killing people because it was more fun than killing wild game in the forest. However, the cipher failed to reveal the killer's true identity, serving only to heighten the public's fear and fascination with the case. The Zodiac had successfully injected himself into the public consciousness, manipulating the media to amplify his reign of terror. The violence escalated on September 27, 1969, at Lake Berryessa in Napa County. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were relaxing on the shore when they were approached by a man wearing a bizarre executioner-style hood featuring a white cross circle symbol on the chest. The man, wielding a gun and a knife, tied the couple up before viciously stabbing them. He then left a message on Hartnell's car door, detailing the dates of his previous attacks and the method used at the lake. Cecilia tragically died from her injuries, but Brian survived, providing a chilling account of the attack and a description of the killer's bizarre costume. The Zodiac's next confirmed victim was Paul Stein, a San Francisco cab driver who was shot and killed in his taxi on October 11, 1969, in the affluent Presidio Heights neighborhood. The killer took a piece of Stein's blood-stained shirt, which he later mailed to the San Francisco Chronicle as proof of his involvement in the crime. The murder of Paul Stein marked a shift in the Zodiac's modus operandi, moving from secluded lovers' lanes to a bustling city street, demonstrating an alarming level of brazenness and unpredictability. Following the Stein murder, the Zodiac Killer's correspondence became increasingly frequent and bizarre. He sent greeting cards, diagrams of bombs, and more complex ciphers, including the infamous Z340 cipher, which remained unsolved for over 50 years until an international team of codebreakers finally cracked it in 2020. The decrypted message once again mocked the police and the public, asserting that he was not afraid of the gas chamber because it would send him to paradise all the sooner. Despite the wealth of physical evidence, including fingerprints, palm prints, and a partial DNA profile developed decades later, the identity of the Zodiac Killer remains elusive. Over the years, numerous suspects have been investigated, with Arthur Lee Allen being the most famous and compelling. Allen, a convicted sex offender, matched the physical description provided by survivors and possessed a Zodiac brand watch, which featured the same cross-circle symbol used by the killer. However, DNA testing in the early 2000s failed to definitively link him to the crimes, and he died in 1992 without ever being charged. Other suspects have included Gary Francis Post, Richard Gaikowski, and Lawrence Kane, each with circumstantial evidence pointing to their potential involvement. However, no suspect has ever been definitively proven to be the Zodiac killer, leaving the case open and active in multiple jurisdictions. The enduring mystery of the Zodiac killer has inspired countless books, documentaries, and feature films, cementing his place in the annals of true crime history as one of the most enigmatic and terrifying figures of the 20th century. The Zodiac killer's legacy is one of fear, manipulation, and unsolved mystery. His ability to evade capture while simultaneously taunting law enforcement and the media demonstrated a level of cunning and psychological warfare rarely seen in serial killers. As technology advances and new investigative techniques emerge, there is always hope that the Zodiac's true identity will finally be revealed, bringing closure to the victims' families and answering the questions that have haunted the public for over half a century. Until then, the Zodiac killer remains a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows, waiting to strike when least expected.